Dear brothers and sisters, welcome all of you here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. As you all gather here, we've been trying to understand the verses written by Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj. It's very interesting in that the verses that he wrote were as applicable at that time as they were today. And so going through his verses, I found this one verse which I thought was very interesting as it relates to the times that we are passing through. And once we focus on the poetry of Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, we find that there are depths of meaning. If you just read it on the level of just the words, you will have one kind of understanding. But when you start to dig deep into it and figure out the depth of why that verse was written, of what is the real meaning, then you start to understand that he was unfolding some aspect of spirituality so that we who walk on the path back to God, we who want to fulfill the purpose of us being alive, we who want to get off the wheel of transmigration, are able to find a way, have a pathway so that we can reach our goals. And so in this verse, Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is saying, he says, "Anganit zakhmo se khilta hua ye dil ka chaman." Anganit zakhmo se khilta hua ye dil ka chaman, आरज़ू है कि तेरी राह गुजार हो जाए. आरज़ू है कि तेरी राह गुजार हो जाए. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, if we translate this into English, he's saying, the garden of my heart is blooming with countless wounds. At the first line, the garden of my heart is blooming with countless wounds. And the next line says, it is my wish to travel with you, to be on the path with you, so that I can reach my goals. So when we try to understand this verse, what is very interesting is, if you only read the words, blooming something and blooming with wounds, it's very difficult to understand. Because a wound gives you pain. And when you get pain, how can you be blooming? And so if you just look at the words will just say, oh, there are like unlimited wounds. Anganit is unlimited. And so you would wonder, I mean, if you have wounds, there has to be pain. If you have pain, then you're in difficulties. So how could you be blooming? And so when you really understand this verse, I think what he's trying to tell us is, first we understand that he's taken the heart as a garden. He says, "Anganit zakhmo se khilta hua ye dil ka chaman." Dil ka chaman is like the garden of the heart. Okay. So when we read poetry written by the great saints and mystics, so they're always talking about soul, which is our real self. And they use the word dil or the heart to reference to the soul. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is first saying that what gives us life is like a garden. Okay. Now in a garden you have the right kind of soil, and then you put the seeds and all kinds of plants start to bloom. And then as they bloom, the garden looks very, very beautiful. Okay. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is taking that simile, something that we experience in our outer lives, so that we can understand something about the spiritual path, which is not a matter, which is focused on consciousness, which is very difficult to explain by words, because all the words that we have in any language are only to explain what is materialistic, what is made of matter, what we experience in the physical world. And so Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj saying, the garden of my heart is blooming. So think about a garden blooming is it's an analogy which is easy to understand, because in the garden you have different kind of flowers and they're blooming, and and they give sweet fragrances, you want to go into the garden, and it's a very enjoyable atmosphere. But then he says they're blooming with countless wounds. And this is what we really need to understand. Okay. So what Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us, that we, our soul, which is our real self, its purpose of being in the human body is to find God, is to be with God, is to get off the wheel of transmigration, to get to that state of moksha, so that we are one with God. And he's telling us there will be many pitfalls along the way. There will be many difficulties. The first difficulty comes, like we come into this world, we don't even know what our purpose is. Okay? So we think, being in this world, we need to excel in this world. We need to do our very best in this world. So we study hard, we work, we get married, we have children, and then they get married, they have children. We think that's all life is. And we try to do our very best in the outside world so that we feel that we've done a good job. So many people come into the world and think that's only the purpose, and they just pass through life and they're back on the wheel of transmigration, because for every thought, word and deed, we are making karma, and so that karma, as long as it's being associated with the soul, will always bring us back into this world. At some time in our life, and this could happen through various phases or different incidents that happen in our life. Sometimes, as we are growing, when we see someone very close to us pass away, whether it's our grandparents or our parents or brothers and sisters or some uncles and aunts who live in the neighborhood, then we start to think, yeah, what is life all about? Because if we're very close to them, then we get to see that person just laying down. They can't get up, they can't do anything. The body's intact, nothing's changed on the outside, but there's no more activity. And so you start to wonder what happened to this person. And then you start to realize that there was something in that person which is missing. And this is why most of our traditions, either we take the body and we cremate it as we put it on fire, and that's the 5 elements which are making the body go back into nature, or we bury the body, which is put in the ground so that the body goes back into matter. And so without even realizing why we are taking care of the body like that, those rituals are going on. Okay? But what is happening is the realization that the body is not what that person was. If we felt that the body is what the person was, then we would save it somehow. And we keep on keeping it even though it's not working. But we realize that the power which was giving life to the body, which was the real person, is gone. So what is that power? That is our soul. And so once some kind of an activity, either a death in a close family member, or many times in our relationship, someone is very close to us, a terminal illness. And when they have a terminal illness, and the doctors say, okay, they will only live for 3 months or 4 months or 2 months, then we start to wonder what is going to happen with this person. And it is times of calamity, a lot of time, which make us realize what are we really supposed to do here. And so once we realize that there is more to life than what we experience through these outer eyes, or we hear through these outer ears, then we start to think about our real self. And as we start to dig into our scriptures, we go to our faiths and to our religions, we start to understand what are they telling us. And then as we start to dig into our faiths, most of our faiths are telling us that we want to connect with God. Yeah. So that painful situation was in life, but it brought goodness into our life. If we would not have had that painful incident happen in our life, we would never even think about thinking of anything beyond the physical body. So a wound can end up to be a blessing. And this is what is very difficult to understand. Because generally you say, why did I get hit? Why do I have this sickness? Why do I have a fever? Why am I not feeling well? We always think that this pain is coming to, not realizing that the pain might bring us goodness which will focus us in the right direction. And so those are the kind of wounds that Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is talking about. And then as we, let's say, recognize that there's something more than the body, and as we dig into whatever forms we can find out to know about God and ourselves, as we realize that, oh, in reality we're a soul embodied in this body, then we start to think about what is good for the soul. See, right now we're thinking what is good for the body. We know that we need to keep the body well, so most of us try to eat as well as we can. We try to exercise so the body is fit. We try to keep the body healthy because we know if there's a pain in any part of the body, it affects us. And as we age, we find out many more areas in the body which could be painful. And so as we pass through life, we feel the body should be good, because if the body is not working well, our whole day kind of goes bad. Okay. But when we realize that our true existence is at the level of our soul, then we start to think of, how do I make our soul more healthier? What is the nourishment that the soul needs? Because we know the body needs the right kind of food, but when we start to go at what is needed by our soul, then we start to look at the lives of the great saints and mystics and their teaching, and what is it that made their life or the life of their followers better. One day physically each and every one of us is going to be physically passing away. So we'll have to leave the physical body, but that doesn't mean that our soul will die. So what happens with the soul? So the saints say, we don't want to wait till the end of our life to figure out what is happening. While alive, we can experience our soul. And this is what the experience of all the founders of the various faiths has been. They experienced God in their own life. They talked about their experiences. And these are experiences which are conscious, which are beyond the physical. And the saints said, just like Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj would say, he said, what one man can do, so can another. And the word man, when used in those terms, would encompass males as well as females. So whatever one human can do, so can another. Each and every one of us, when we get the human body, has been given here, between and behind the two eyebrows, what we call the Shiv Netra, or the Daswan Dwar, or the single or the third eye, which is the seat of the soul. And this is what differentiates human beings from all other forms of existence. See, there are 8.4 million of species. They call them 84 lakh Ji Arjun. And our soul can transmigrate into any one of them. Okay? The human existence is called the roof and crown of all creation, because in this we've been given the single or the third eye. We've been given all the faculties that are required for us to know God, so that we can attain that state of moksha, so that we can be off the wheel of transmigration. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj through his verse is telling us that let the garden of your heart, which is your soul, let that bloom even with wounds, because unless you have something happen in the world outside which is painful to you, you are not going to turn your attention away from the world. You won't even focus on God, you won't think about God. So he says, if there are wounds in your life, don't worry about them. Look at the benefit that they provide to you. What he's trying to tell us is, unless you have an experience which will turn you towards God, you will keep on being focused on the world outside, and you will never be able to reach the goal for which you've been given this human body. Once you realize that we are soul, and you realize the purpose of the life is to reach God, then you have to figure out, how do I reach there? And therein comes the comparison with an athlete trying to reach the goal of being the best in whatever sport they're in. The first thing that is important is to be focused on the goal. Once we know that our goal is to meet God, then we need to be focused on that goal. We need to make sure that our life is then based on reaching the goal. And this is why saints talk about our life should be lived in a manner in which we have blinders. You know, when horses are having a race, and each horse has a lane to run in, they are given blinders. So they can't see here, they can't see here, they know that they have to go right in the lane. Because if they don't have blinders, they can see here, they can see here, and then they are distracted. Okay? And so we have many attractions of this world, and the attractions come in many directions. We have many pulls. We enjoy, let's say, traveling to other places. We might enjoy being on the mountains or on the shores of the oceans or rivers. We might enjoy different kinds of food. We might enjoy being with different kind of crowds. We might enjoy all the music, all the dancing. There are many, many attractions of this world. They might distract us from our goal. So we all have 24 hours a day. Okay? So if we get distracted into these attractions, then the time that we have to reach our goal gets less and less. So we need to be focused on our goal. Once we are focused on our goal, then we need to find out how does our soul get strengthened. What is the nourishment that it gets? So saints and mystics tell us that there are two primal manifestations of God. It's the light and the sound of God. Okay. So this creative power which brought all creation to being is reverberating within each and every one of us. And so that is running 24 hours a day. It's not that it comes from 8 to 5 or something. It's there 24 hours a day. And so if we can connect with the divine power within, then by connecting with that power, we can trace our journey back to God. Okay? We as soul, our soul is a part of God. And so our soul migrated away from God, went to one existence, went to another. In the process, forgot about God. Now we got the human body because of God's grace. So God must have felt that our soul is doing something good. That's why we got a human body. Otherwise, we could be in the body of an animal or a fish or a bird or some other living form. Now, since we have this body, it's our responsibility to make the best use of this existence. And so once we start to focus on our connection with God, we want to figure out a way of connecting with this vibration, with the Shabd within. And so all of our traditions are saying that this is an opening which opens into the spiritual regions within. You know, our eyes are opening to the world outside, our ears are opening to the world outside. All of other senses are taking our attention to the world outside. But when we focus our attention here, then we're able to go into the inner spiritual regions. And that journey has been talked about by many saints and mystics. They talk about various regions of existence, and they talk about us being able to connect with the divine power within. And so Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is telling us, this garden that we have within ourselves, even though there might be what we think of wounds, that these are going to all bloom, these are all going to blossom. And then the third aspect that is needed is, when you look at the lives of these great athletes, whatever field they are in, those who are successful are the ones who are giving enough time to their practices. And so it's the same thing in the spiritual arena. Meditation is not like you can do it on the weekend and say, oh, I'm very busy during the week, I got too much to do, but weekend I'll do, and then say, oh, I can meet God. We need to find time on a daily basis. We need to, and as we are regular in our practices get better. It's the same thing. Players who are playing regularly, every day they go out, they might fall, they get up, they go again and again, and so they get better and better and better. And same thing happens with meditation. As we practice it on a daily basis, it will get better and better and better. Sant Singh Ji Maharaj used to say that we should give 10% of our daily time to our spiritual practice. He didn't say we should give 100% of our daily time. So 10% is about 2.5 hours. That looks like a lot of time. So when we start with about half an hour, and we slowly build it up. Because unless we give the time, our practice will not get to be perfect. Okay? So giving the right emphasis on our practice and finding the time to be able to do the practice is very, very important. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj here in the next line, he's saying, Arzu hai ki teri rah guzar ho jaye. So he's saying, my wish is that I be able to go on the journey with you. That I am walking with you. That because the realization that the spiritual master will take us to our goal, which is to find the oneness with God, is what is going to help me also reach that stage. So the key is to be with God. Any help that we can receive on the way, we take the help. The role of the spiritual master is not to connect a disciple with themselves. Their role is to connect the disciple with God. So they act as a catalyst agent. So that's the role of the spiritual master. He's the soul and he's God. Now this soul has no mechanism to connect with God. And so the role of the spiritual master first is through satsang to tell us about our real self. Then to, as we get initiated, to open the single or third eye, which we might not know how to get it open. So through their attention, they can open the spiritual eye. And then the guidance, not only in the world outside, but in the inner spiritual regions, which is needed, so that we don't get distracted in those regions, is provided so that we can reach our goals. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is saying, it's my wish that I be able to travel with you, that you take me with you, and so that the guidance that is needed and the protection that is needed is available to me for me to fulfill the very purpose for which I am alive, for the very purpose for which this human body has been given to me. Each and every one of us, having gotten this human birth, has been given an opportunity to be with God. And so we can all be one with God. It's just a question of focusing our attention, putting in the effort, being persistent, do it regularly, do it as much as we can, so that we are in the state of being one with the Creator. The process of getting there is sitting in silence, so there is no distraction. There is a simple technique that we can try. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close the eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. There's no need to force them closed or something. Your eyeballs should be straight. Focus 8 to 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. The reason we repeat God's name is because we want to focus on God, we want our mind to be focused on God, and this repetition should be done mentally, because it's a mind which sends thought to us, and we want to take the mind and we want to focus it on God, so that we get to a state of no thoughts. Any thought that we get is a distraction. And so just repeat God's name mentally. In front of you, with time, a light will sprout forth. It could be flashes of light, it could be circles of light. The lights could be of various colors. It could be golden, it could be white, it could be red, blue, green, yellow, orange, or any other color. Uh, in the beginning, it looks like coming and going. What is actually happening is that the light of God is within each and every one of you. As we concentrate, we experience the light. As we are distracted, we experience darkness. So with time, as our concentration improves, to us it looks like the lights are getting stabilized and more stabilized, and then it looks like there's light all the time. And then with time, it'll go beyond the lights to a sky full of stars, and many, many other vistas will open up for you. So I pray to God Almighty and to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. So we'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off.